guys, welcome back. My name is Vicki-Lynne. So glad you could stop by on this video. I have a great recipe for you. If you're new here, I follow a plant-based diet following the Starch Solution by Dr. John McDougall. So all of my recipes are oil-free, and I'm just on a journey to lose some weight, lower my cholesterol, and get my body moving every day. So today I did do my walk. Anyway, if that interests you, stick with me. We're going to do a great video for you today. I have a great soup recipe because it did get cold here in Chicago. That's where I'm based right now. I'm originally from Canada, so I do know a little thing about being cold. So if that interests you, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to scooch on over and hit that bell icon. And we're going to get into the kitchen and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks. Let's get into it. So let's talk about a few key ingredients in our recipe today. When I start a recipe, and if you've been around, you guys know what I do. I search out my pantry, my fridge, and my freezer, and I see what needs to get used. I have some delicious kale that I wanted to get used. I've been a little under the weather this week, so I figured kale is definitely going to help me. Lots of vitamin K. Wanted to put it to good use. Decided to make a kale soup. So I took my scraps from the freezer, threw them into my Instant Pot, made a delicious veggie stock. And again, if you've been here, you know I do this all the time. Anytime I'm doing my meal preps, I take my scraps from my carrots and celery and onions, any kind of vegetables, the mushrooms, anything that you can use. I put them in reusable Ziploc bags, keep them in the freezer. When I have enough, I throw them into my Instant Pot, even a pot on the stove if you don't have an Instant Pot, even a slow cooker. Add some water, some seasoning, a couple of bay leaves, and just let that cook. You get your own delicious vegetable stock, and you've made it yourself. You haven't spent anything. I love just using everything as much as possible without waste. Okay. Then we're going to have some sweet potatoes in it. I did make some kidney beans. I didn't have any black beans. I was actually hoping to put black beans in it. I didn't have any, but I did have some dry kidney beans. So I just soaked some kidney beans last night and cooked them up this morning so we can make this delicious soup. So this is going to be packed full of vitamin C, vitamin K, whatever. We're going to have a nutritious, delicious soup. And it's also great if you're following Starch Solution because you can use your soup as a preload for your meal. So if you're not familiar with preloading is like having a bowl of soup before your meal, so it helps fill you up, but not with a lot of calories, so that when you do have your meal, you're still not consuming a lot of calories. So it actually helps you lose a little bit more weight a little bit faster. So now that we have that set, let's get making our soup. Again, we're going to use the basics: onions, celery, garlic, some great spices. I'm going to use some Mediterranean spices, cumin, oregano, a little bit of cayenne. You can leave that out if you don't like cayenne. I'm only using about 1/4 teaspoon just to give it a little warmth to it. And I think you're going to love it. So let's get chopping and cooking. Now let's start by chopping our garlic. I'm using 3 large garlic cloves, but you can use as much as you'd like. And if you don't have fresh garlic, you can use garlic powder or use the minced garlic. We're going to also chop up about 3 ribs of celery and just dice it accordingly, however you like it in your soup. And then last but not least, we're going to get into our onion. And again, we're just going to chop this up or dice this up finely because we're going to saute everything together in our pot. Now, if you're ever trying to get rid of the smell of garlic or onions on your hands, the best way to do it is to get anything that's a stainless steel. Rub your hands under cold water with your stainless steel spoon or any of your, whatever you have that's stainless steel, and ta-da, the smell will be gone. So if that's ever deterred you from using fresh garlic or onions, that is a good trick on how to get rid of that smell. Always use your fresh. Now we're going to cut up our sweet potato. And again, I'm using 2 here. Use as much as you want, as little as you want. It's a soup, guys. Soups are so super easy. You can adjust the recipe. Measurements will be down below. But again, adjust it to what you have. You could put in a regular potato if you didn't have a sweet potato. You could use a Japanese potato in here too. Again, it's a soup. That's what I love about soups. Soups are super simple to put together. They're easy. We're just going to dice this into, or chop this into bite-sized pieces for the soup. And that's the great thing about soups. As they come together, you could put anything in a pot with a little bit of broth, and you have a nutritious, delicious, filling meal, or a preload if you're doing the starch solution. And so we're just going to finish chopping this, and then we're going to head over to the stove and we're going to start sauteing and cooking all of our aromatics. We're also going to chop up our kale, and again, I'm just going to bunch this up. I'm just going to slice it very thinly into bite-sized pieces just to make it easier in the soup. And you could also massage your kale a little bit at this point, totally up to you. It does help obviously break down the fibers, does make it much easier. And we're going to use about I'm going to say about 3 to 4 cups of kale. And there are different types of kale. I just find it more difficult to find like the dinosaur kale up here. We usually mostly get the curly kale up here in Chicago. For the most part, it's the easiest one to find. We're heating up our pan. We're adding a little bit of stock as we're going to saute our celery. Our onions. And our sliced garlic. Just lightly get those going. Now you could use a pot, a Dutch oven, Instant Pot, slow cooker. You could dump and go and put this all into a slow cooker if you want. Cook it overnight. You'd be fine with that too. And then just add your kale at the last little bit. That's what I love about soup. Add your sweet potato. I'm going to stir in my spices. And give that a good mix. Oh, it smells so good. I want to heat those spices for a minute before I add my stock. I'm going to add in a bay leaf. Gonna stir in your kidney beans. So you could use kidney beans, black beans, chickpeas would be great. Cannelli beans. white kidney beans. Again, we're just bumping up extra protein. Whatever you want to put. Don't have them, don't put it in. You could add barley if you didn't have it. Farro. We're just bulking it up. And then we're just going to bring this to a gentle boil, and we are just going to cook it until the sweet potatoes are cooked. So now that our potatoes and everything are softened, we're going to add in our kale that we chopped up finely. And we're just going to wilt that into our soup. That's literally just going to take a few seconds. Just give that a stir. All those great colors, the orange, the kidney beans. And then the last thing we want to do is we're going to put in about a tablespoon of fresh squeezed lime, and that's just going to brighten the whole soup up. Give it a stir. A quick, easy, delicious soup, full of nutrition, oil-free, starch solution friendly, vegan, at your service. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this recipe, and we're going to see you in the next one.